I will fully admit that I am watching much more BKFC because Conor is involved. And I wanted to show you guys this knockout because, oh my God, this is insane. The sound of this knockout is brutal. He complained to the UFC. Honestly, that is so stupid. I might make it the title of this video. So obviously the biggest story of the weekend was Anthony Joshua getting starched, but some other very interesting fight news came out, which primarily, in my opinion, is Conor McGregor being on the microphone over and over and over because he was at the fight. And, after stringing us along for multiple years about whether or not he's coming back, who he's going to be fighting against, he's literally strung Michael Chandler along for, I don't know, honestly, I don't even know when the timeline starts for when you could officially say, okay, Michael Chandler and Conor McGregor have agreed to fight. So however long before Ultimate Fighter, all the way up until when Chandler finally was like, okay, fine, I'll take Oliveira. But I don't know. I saw a video of Michael Chandler responding after Conor said something about Michael Chandler ducking him or whatever after Chandler took the fight. And I think he makes some really good points. We're going to look at that. Also, I see a bunch of people kind of being like, oh, look, very obvious. Conor's going to leave the UFC, and he's indicating that. Now, yeah, that seems incredibly obvious at this point. Like, Conor wants out of his contract because, of course, he wants out of his contract. The fact that the last time he fought in a professional sanctioned bout was in July of 2021, and he is still the biggest story of whatever weekend, we're in, when he just says into a microphone, like, yeah, I can't get a date. I'm getting drug tested all the time. It's like, Conor McGregor says he's getting drug tested all the time. Like, dude, if he is self-promoting, does BKFC, whatever, he's going to make a fortune. Of course he wants out of his contract. But anyway, Michael Chandler had a really fiery response to all of this stuff, and he's on video. And I think he is very entitled to his feelings on all of this. I want to show you guys that. Then I want to show you guys Sean Strickland lighting Khalil Roundtree up. I just think this is hilarious because they used to be teammates. And if I was to look at two people just in terms of like, okay, this guy has this personality, this guy has this personality, I actually cannot imagine a match that is more oil and vinegar than those two guys. Like, there's, I've said, but Sean Strickland, he gets into it with people on the internet. And I'm like, the thing is, guys, is if these two dudes were in the same gym, like, they would be really close buddies. Or actually, in the case of like Raquel Pennington, perfect example. Sean said, I don't know how, Sean says some things that I guess could be taken as, not necessarily super friendly to the gay community. I think he's kind of getting taken out of context. Like, I don't think that they really understand what he's actually saying. I don't think he has anything against gay people, but nonetheless, Raquel Pennington obviously is an open, she's got a wife or a girlfriend or whatever. But I said, I can look at both of them. I'm like, they'd be friends if they were in the same gym. I can say that almost for certain. But Khalil Roundtree and Sean Strickland, you could put them on an island together where their survival was completely reliant on each other and their ability to get along and collaborate. I'm not sure they could do it, dude. Like, those guys are not built to be in close proximity to each other unless they are trying to punch each other in the face. So when Sean goes off on him, I am definitely going to laugh along with you guys listening to him talk about him. So we're going to show you guys that as well. Real quick though, it's Monday Night Football, so I want to show you guys a quick sponsor and then we'll get into it. If you haven't played Prize Picks yet, I cannot stress this enough. Just watch what I do here and then get on board, dude. Now, Prize Picks is daily fantasy, but it's not like regular daily fantasy where you have to big some big complicated lineup. You literally can pick as few as 2 players that you're going to track this week. We're doing NFL because it's NFL week, and you pick stats that you think they're going to do more or less than. It is so simple. It's wild. Okay. Just pick any of these guys. You're like, all right, New England running back Antonio Gibson. You think he's going to do more or less than 8.5 receiving yards? Here you go. All right, I'm going with more. Boom. That's one of my guys. Hey, rush yards. Aaron Rodgers. Is he going to get more or less than 1 rushing yard? I'm going more. I think he's going to scramble. Okay. And look at that. Now I've got a roster over there. $20 entry fee to win 60. Now I'm just going to level with you guys. This far this season, I've been being a little bit aggressive. I've had like 6 guys on every roster, which is hard to hit. The payout's huge, but I'm going with multiple 2-player rosters this week. That's what I'm doing. You guys should do that with me. Now, one big note is that it's easy, very easy to get your money in and out with Prize Picks. And also, when you play and use promo code JesseOnFire, using the link in the description to get there, you're going to get a free $50 in your account as soon as you put $5 in play. That's correct. You make a deposit, you play $5 in lineups, you're going to get an additional free $50. So why don't you go do that, and I will see you on Prize Picks this weekend, racking up money on NFL. All right, so let's start with the Sean Strickland story. I'm too anxious to hear him clown on Khalil Roundtree to start anywhere else, and then we'll get into the Michael Chandler and Conor McGregor stuff. Oh, and I'm gonna show you a vicious knockout from BKFC. I'll do that right after the Strickland package, and you definitely want to see that.
Alex Bejeda reveals Sean Strickland will be helping him prepare for his fight against Khalil Roundtree at UFC 307. Sean used to train at the same gym as Khalil and absolutely despises him. Here's what he had to say about Khalil in the past.
So we're training, right? And guys, I give some good speeches. I give some good hot, raw speeches. So I'm like, well, when you guys are wrestling, you got to pick the baddest motherfucker and you got to go with it. And if I see you going Khalil Roundtree, I know that's not what you did. You're being a So I said that speech as like a raw moment for Khalil to be like, you, Sean. I'm gonna show you what's up. And I thought it was gonna make him step up and yeah. But instead,
what, dude? He thought that was gonna be motivated to Khalil Roundtree. Like, again, I mean, obviously, I feel like I probably have a better gauge on who's gonna respond well to things than Sean, but that was never going to go over well with Khalil Roundtree. He's like one of those guys that like, yeah, you know the dude in Guardians of the Galaxy, where you're like, let's go kill some time. And he's like, how does one kill time? You're all, it's a figure of speech. He's like, you want to kill time? Like, that's like Khalil Roundtree. I mean, obviously not that extreme, but something tells me that, like, you know, the Joshin thing with Khalil doesn't exactly land the way that you would hope.
he stormed off the mat. He just walked off the mat and he was like, Sean, I don't respect you. I don't like you. I'm like, yeah, because you're feminist in a cult. We need to have a conversation about Khalil Roundtree because clearly you guys have no idea who the this man is. And I'm going to explain to you who this man is. And all you little just saying, oh, we'll go spar him. You guys understand that we used to train at the same gym and I would have loved to use him as a body. I only got the opportunity once and then he would avoid me like the plague. I wanted to. I tried to. But anyways, back to why you guys have...
I assume that everyone knows that's for sure true. I mean, I don't know about the avoided, but like, you really think that Sean Strickland was going to be like, no, I am too scared of Khalil Roundtree? Now, obviously, I mean, listen, don't get me wrong. Khalil is terrifying. That guy is a monster. But there is no way that Sean Strickland was scared to spar him.
No idea who Khalil Roundtree is. There's this chick, big girl, big, tall, little thick, a little bit too thick for me, but 20 pounds lighter. She looked like a supermodel. Anyways, amazing, sweet girl. Khalil walks up behind her to like show her move, and she makes like a harassment joke, and it was hilarious. I laughed, the gym laughed, and then Khalil snaps on her. I'm like, dude, like this is like a sweet girl, like she's joking. Calm down. Anyways, second instance.
What did I tell you guys? On the Bible, I had not seen that yet, dude. I had not seen that. I just knew that he was going to do this thing in the car because I scanned the time. I did not know that that was coming. What did I say, dude? Hey, man, let's go kill some time. How does one kill time? It's like, hey, dude, she's not actually saying you sexually harassed her, you fucking weirdo. She's making a joke. Over here, we call that a joke. It's a joke. It means that what I said is not an actual representation of how I feel. I'm just kidding around with you. You're supposed to chuckle and laugh.
We're all training. I'm giving everybody a speech about like when you're on the mat, you need to go to the best motherfucker, try to take his head, take his spot. And I looked and I pointed at Khalil and I was like, and if I see you guys going Roundtree, I know you're being a bunch of
He already said this.
because he's the softest guy on the mat. Anyways, guy storms off the gym, gets a little emotional. Or like the third time. Actually, the third time might have been a little up. He had this ex-girl.
Hey, when Sean Strickland starts you off, like when the other ones, he's like, hey, I was giving him a motivational. He's like, hey, I was giving him a motivational speech, and I did that by saying, hey, guys, this guy's the biggest pussy on the mat. He's like, and so when he starts off one, he's all, okay, this one might be a little bit fucked up. He's like, yeah, I sized his girlfriend in front of him as a joke. You know what I mean? Where do you guys think this is going?
Girlfriend once, and I joked. I was like, Khalil, I hate on her too, and you were the better man, But it was funny. It was like me and your boys, It was like camaraderie. And he goes to the UFC and complains. Like, this man is you guys have no concept who he is. If you met him, you would hate him. You need to trust me on this. He sucks.
Alex Bejeda put...
Okay, first of all, the joke that Strickland made is not even a bad one. That's not messed up. Like, I hit on her, you did better. That's a full acknowledgement that she's yours. I don't know if it went the same exact way but like, if someone was like, oh man, he's like, dude, you got a great girl, man. I hit on her, but she chose you. I'd be like, yeah, I know. Because I'm a better man than you, as you've just acknowledged, I don't know. Like or just whatever. It's a fucking joke. Who cares? And he complained to the UFC. Honestly, that is so stupid. I might make it the title of this fucking video. Like, what? Like, what would, what do you think the UFC did with that, dude? You know what I mean? The UFC's all, wait, so go over that one more time. He's like, well, listen, I just want to make it very clear what happened. I don't feel comfortable around Sean Strickland. He made my girlfriend feel uncomfortable. They're all, how did he do that? He's like, well, he said a very inappropriate joke. They're all, could you run us through that joke just so I know what we're talking about? He's all, he said that he had hit on her and she chose me instead because I was a better man. They're all, mm-hmm. And then, so what happened after that? Well, that's the joke. No, it's not. Yes, it is. You're all. The HR is like, you understand that you are a 1099 independent contractor at a at a professional fighting organization. Yes? Yes, I do. And I expect to be protected. Well, here's the thing. You're not actually an employee. The fact that we even have an HR department is not really for you. We kind of let you make a call to pretend like you're an employee. You're not. You're just not allowed to fight anywhere else. But sure, hey, we'll run it up the ladder. We'll see if anybody, we'll make a report about this tragic event that happened that certainly makes sense for a professional fighter to have a serious problem with. And they hang up. They're like, what the fuck? What did he want us to do with that? Like, what did he think was going to happen when he called the UFC with that information? You know what I mean? Like, do you know what I mean? It's like, okay, so one thing that I could certainly say that I have learned to do as an older person than I was when I was 25 is I've thought through, okay, this pissed me off. If I do this, what is the outcome going to be? Like, there are a lot of times where I want to come on the channel and, make irreversible decisions. Like, just go on and just absolutely just fucking gut someone. But I know I can't ever take that back. And generally when you play that out, you're all, that's not going to go anywhere good. There's no upside in that whatsoever. So I'm just going to not make an emotional decision, and I'm not going to do that, and I'll do XYZ. So like when Khalil, I assume, he's forward thinking. He's all, I think if I call the UFC, then what will happen is they will fire Sean Strickland. You're like, no. I actually will pose this challenge to the entire MMA community that sees this. Anybody who interviews Khalil, especially, there's a high probability he's going to be a hot, commodity. What if he beats Alex Pereira? It's not impossible. So if he becomes a light heavyweight champion, I want someone to ask him about this incident. Just be like, don't be like, it could be completely different than how Sean is telling the story, but be like, so is there any truth to the fact that you called the UFC to complain about a joke that Sean Strickland made to you and your girlfriend? Is that true? And if so, could you go ahead and tell that story from your side? Because I don't know, man. In my world, if you tattletale on people, it's very hard to tell that story and make it sound justified, as opposed to you just sounding like a person who can't take a joke. You know what I mean? Like, or if you're telling on people in general, it is basically the pussiest thing that you can do. Last night, Gabriella, like, we went out to dinner and stuff, so we were up and stuff, and like, I don't know what came over me last night, but I just went on X. I never do this. And I was just scrolling X, and anybody who said something stupid, I just wrote something like the most snide shit response ever to them, dude. And one of them, this guy's like, some dude, you know, he's like, hey, attention. I can't remember who he tagged. Attention. This is a person who is openly bragging about criminal acts, because it was some girl who was going around like Arizona and taking campaign flyers off of, you know, that had been like stuck in the ground. She was picking them up. You know, she's got like 5. She's all, look, I'm picking up the opposing candidates, you know, signs. And the guy's all, hello, law enforcement. I expect you guys to enforce the law against this criminal. And you're like, I just responded. I was like, hey guy, try to be a bigger fucking stereotype. Okay. A sub 200 testosterone level Kamala, you know, white dudes for Kamala Harris person who is openly narking someone out on Twitter with no shame. Like, it's like, I don't understand. Why are you not embarrassed? How did you grow up in a different world than I did? Because where I grew up, you should be embarrassed to tattletale on people, certainly tattletaling on a girl over picking up some campaign signs. Oh my God. Oh my God. She is basically she orchestrated January 6th because, you know, everybody's the same. She picked up, you know, street signs, campaign signs. She may as well have orchestrated all of January 6th. I think the Justice Department should take all of their resources and focus them on this girl whose pictures I saw on X. Grow up, you fucking crybaby. And Khalil, come on, dude. Tattletaling is never the right answer.
Posted a video to his YouTube channel today, showcasing his first day of training camp in Salt Lake City. Links in the description for the full video. Alex reveals Sean's coming out to train with him next week.
Foram 2 semanas, né, Glover?
Yeah, you guys get the picture. All right, so now let's move over to some Conor McGregor stuff. So I actually wanted to show you guys. Oh yeah, I told you. I promised you I would show you guys this knockout. Watch this, dude.
Stop. 3.
Oh my God, dude.
6.
Did he hit him like 8 times?
Stop.
It's the sound, man.
3.
Like, usually if a person gets hit flush one time like that and you hear it, you're all, ooh, you know, it's like smack. But it's like smack, 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 smack. Good night. Can you imagine if Anthony Joshua got hit with a bare fist instead of with a glove, he'd be knocked into a coma? I'm actually not sure if it would have mattered, dude. Like, I don't think those gloves make a huge difference for heavyweights, but I mean, they do. But in terms of knockout shots, like, you're getting knocked out, I think the same. I don't know. I asked Alan Belcher about that. And I'm like, I was talking MMA gloves to bare knuckle. I'm like, how different is it really? He's like, it's really fucking different. I was like, oh, really? But he was saying mostly like from like jabs. Like jabs, you know, like kind of like real short, straight punches are the ones that feel very different with a bare knuckle versus a small glove. So I'm certainly in no position to argue with the, lineal heavyweight bare knuckle boxing champion on how that feels. Anyway, but so let's move over and look here. Okay, so obviously we have this whole saga going on where you got, you know, Dana. We don't know when he's going to fight again. He also says he's going into boxing. I am now officially done assuming that when these two guys are like arguing in public, that what it actually means is they're setting up some kind of like future fight. Because to me, the most obvious thing is that Dana is in BKFC financially with with TKO, and Conor is going to move over to BKFC because that's how they tied themselves permanently to Conor. However, Conor is still under contract with UFC, so maybe it's a little bit sticky, but he's like, yeah, I don't know. We're not sure, when he's going to be ready, and we're not going to book him until then. But like, Conor's talking here in this press conference, and he's just like, I can't get a date. And I mean, listen, dude, in fairness, it's like, dude, you had a date, you pulled out with 2 weeks left, man. But let's listen to this really quick, and then we'll look at Michael Chandler's
So
response.
I've been tested more than twice. All these other athletes, yet I struggle to get a date. So, I've talked to Sheikh Turkey and said, Sheikh Turkey, can you assist me here? As far as Chandler rematching Oliveira, I'm happy with the date. It's November. Maybe we can still do it after, if they're not going to line me out till maybe December, January, February, or one of these dates. Maybe we can still do it. I'm just a bit, out of the loop with it, so.
All right, so now that...
So, by the way, here, ITP, I will hit subscribe for you because I always ask people to subscribe, and I will practice what I preach, and I appreciate you compiling these clips for me. But, listen, dude, like, at the end of the day, Conor is in a weird spot in terms of, it's like his value has played against him historically if he wants to get a date. I want everybody to keep this one very relevant piece of information in mind, okay? When he fought Dustin Poirier, the first of the last two, I know he's fought Dustin Poirier 3 times, the first of the 2 fights that were at lightweight, right? January 2021. The only reason he was able to get that fight is because he finally, after begging for a fight all of 2020, he knocked out Cowboy at the beginning of 2020, and then he spent the rest of the year just like, give me a fight. He couldn't get them to give him a fight. I hypothesize that the reason for that is because you can't, like, Dana doesn't know how long COVID's going to go, and he's waiting until he can get a live gate. Like, you only have so many fights with Conor McGregor. When he fights, with a live gate, that's like an additional, $15 million or something like that, some enormous number. And he makes so much money, you don't want to waste. Like, you know what I mean? It's like each of these fights is an investment, right? So you're like, okay, we have 5 more fights with Conor. Okay, well, we can either do it now and get, $40 million, or we can do it as soon as COVID's over and get $55 million. Like, from a business perspective, it's obvious why they were icing him. But then Conor was so frustrated that he finally, went to Dusty. He's like, let's fight for charity. Loophole in the contracts. Very smart. Very smart. All the money raised will just go to charity, and I'm sure the UFC looked at the contracts and realized, like, damn, they actually can do that. What it says is you can't make money, yada, yada. So then they booked the fight. Very clever what they did there. And they did it in Abu Dhabi, so I'm sure they got some special deal where they were making lots of money for having Conor there. But, now it's like he has 2 fights left. Everybody has confirmed that. I am still blown away that he's not, well, I'm not blown away. So what I said originally was that I bet you that Dana and them are in on this BKFC deal, and that Conor's ownership in BKFC was part of that deal. And thus, when I found out he only had 2 fights left on his UFC deal, I was like, man, I could have sworn that was, but now, like, in now retrospect, it is totally plausible that I was right about them both being the BKFC deal, but they only have 2 fights left on the UFC deal because ultimately he plans on going over to BKFC because that'll be the launching pad to take this new investment that UFC made and turn it into this juggernaut fight promotion. Like, seriously, think about this. Is that not the biggest no-brainer of all time? It's like the biggest no-brainer of all time. If Conor only has two more fights on the deal, and he's the most valuable asset in the entire combat sports game. You have this organization over here that already has a lot of heat on it. They've got a good thing going, but they're begging for money. They need investment money. Like, there's one way that you can tie yourself to Conor permanently is make him your business partner in this promotion over here that you can get your money in at this small valuation. And as soon as Conor starts fighting in there, it immediately is going to become this enormous juggernaut organization. If you can put good fights and good fighters around, the Conor McGregor appearances. It's like that. I mean, that will work. It's just that simple. Like those are going to be huge events, and the people who fight on those cards and people who get tied to those fights, those fighters, you do good promotion around it. You do, well-structured documentary stuff around the other fighters who are going to compete on the cards. And then when those guys come up, like to fight next, it starts to become a machine that works on its own. I mean, the early days of UFC was like Tito Ortiz. When is Tito Ortiz fighting? And then you started to learn about who Chuck Liddell was. You got to know, Robbie Lawler. Oh, Randy Couture. He's the guy that beat the shit out of Chuck Liddell. You know what I mean? It's like, that is how this works. So, but again, I don't know how that would work when Dana has fiduciary responsibility that he has with UFC, while TKO, I can't remember if he's like the chairman or whatever, if they did get into BKFC, and again, I just cannot stress this enough, what possible reason would they not have done this, right? Who does he owe, fiduciary responsibility to? Because like, if he's thinking long-term for TKO, that would actually probably be let Conor out of his UFC contract after these two and let him go fight BKFC, because it's going to turn into this enormous new asset under the TKO brand. But if you don't try to negotiate for him with UFC, then, but it's a public, like, I guess since TKO is a publicly traded company, UFC is under both banners. If BKFC, but BKFC would have to be under some kind of subsidiary that they don't have to report. I don't know. I got to think about that. Anyway. But like, yeah, I don't know, dude. Conor saying that he can't get a date. I don't know, dude. The broken toe thing, I'm sure Dana is like, dude, bro, like you pulled out, right? But here's what Michael Chandler said.
Mike posted a video where he immediately says he's not going to respond to Conor's tweet by responding to Conor's tweet.
All right, there you have it, boys and girls. I'm not even going to respond to Conor's stupid little tweet acting like I dipped. The simple fact of the matter is, you are the most unreliable human being that has ever graced mixed martial arts. If Conor can finally get his house in order, if he can finally string together a couple of sober days, string together a couple of days where he's actually training and actually feeling good, and he can actually finally make good on his promise of the greatest comeback in combat sports history, if he can finally pony up, then I will fight Conor after I dispatch of Charles Oliveira.
And look, even though I don't really agree with Mike when he says that McGregor...
Okay, so let me think about that for a second. So the reason why that actually could play out pretty well for the UFC, actually, I don't know, that makes it really complicated. I was going to say, if Chandler did beat Oliveira, okay, then he could theoretically kind of be in a number one contender match with Conor. Like, because this is kind of the number one contender match now. Arman Sarukian's going to fight Islam Makhachev, and then Charles versus Chandler theoretically would be to fight, the title holder next. But Conor McGregor's a huge money fight, so, the winner could theoretically end up fighting Conor, and then the winner gets a title shot, because that's the UFC's kind of cheat code to put Conor into a title fight. But man, there's no fucking way in a billion years that they are going to give Conor a title fight on the last fight of his deal, where he's going an unrestricted free agent after that fight. Absolutely no way. Conor would have them by the absolute balls. He already does. They just wouldn't do it. They just wouldn't do it. I don't think they would do it. That's the thing, dude. It's like, at the end of the day, Conor is so valuable that I'm not even sure if he even fits into the UFC's business model anymore. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know. Certainly if Conor went to an organization that is not UFC, that UFC is not involved in, like BKFC, then that could be catastrophic for them. But that's why I cannot think of a world where they do not own part of BKFC, and that deal was not, they secretly own it with a subsidiary. Just strategically, it would be insane for them not to have done that. And just such common sense. It's like such a no-brainer for them to do that with Conor. For everybody involved. you know? And like the idea, and Conor's like, I can't get a date, they're doing this and that. If you think that indicates that they're not in on the BKFC deal together, that's not what that means at all. The second that the ink dries on the BKFC and, assuming that TKO is, one of the lead investors in the round of funding that Conor is in on as well with TKO, with BKFC, then the second that that's on paper, there's no there's no urgency anymore. It's locked up. It's just another way that they've locked Conor to them. And so, let's hurry up and get him booked, or let's hurry up whatever before he does whatever. That's over. Because when Conor leaves, he's going to go to BKFC. And, they got that locked up. Anyway, that's probably enough for now. I love you guys. Subscribe to the channel. Ring the bell. Bye-bye.